Good night, Mr. Wade. Are you, sir?
Good night. Good night. Good night to our Belizean public, both at home and abroad. Again, welcome to another edition of our Belizean Affairs show, number 390 on a blessed rainy Wednesday
Right.
in Belize. Um, and it's always a pleasure, to sit in your company, Leonard.
The
Always a pleasure. You know, um, again, Leonard, I give thanks and praise that we're still here, 2026. Um, steadfast in our quest. No one had deterred us. They tried, but they haven't deterred us, and
major,
they
mile,
will never deter us.
major milestone, Mr. Wade. You're the chairman for tonight, 398. Imagine
Imagine
how far we've been.
390. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
390.
Yes, sir. And then, Leonard, we should be joined by our technician, Mr. Gregory Brackett, the Monday night chairman. He's somewhere in the back there, and he's doing what he does. So we should be we should be joined by him in a little bit.
Yes, sir.
And there's a lot going on in our Joe Leonard, and we go straight to it because time is of an essence. With the little time we have, we want to put in as much as we can. We always start with a prayer followed by a reading. And Leonard, I ask you to please lead us in a prayer, please.
Yes, sir. I'll just bow my head, sir. Divine loving Father, once again we come before thy presence, asking that thou would accept our humble expression of gratitude and thankfulness to thee for having given us the privilege of life, first and foremost, and secondly, for the opportunity to still be alive among our family members, friends, and loved ones. Please continue to bless our family members, each and every one of them, as if they were each mentioned by name and number, the knowest our heart, our desires, even our most secret thoughts. Please let the words of our mouth and the meditation of our minds and the contriteness of our heart be acceptable before thy divine presence, loving Father. Pray that thou mayest bless our country of Belize, its people and leadership, that thou would bless this country of the United States, its people and leadership as well, and that thou would bless the rest of humanity, thou knowest their needs, thou knowest the trials, tribulations, and issues that we have to be contending with on a day-to-day basis. Please give us the strength, wisdom, knowledge, understanding, endurance, courage, perseverance, and fortitude, so that we may be able to survive and succeed beyond these trials and tribulations. We ask these mercies in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Leonard,
You're
for a
welcome.
warm prayer.
You're welcome.
Country and people in the world needs prayer, more prayer, and go straight to a reading. Leonard, I read and Ephesians and the my last reading 1 to 10, chapter 6 1 to 10, and then I'll go 10 to 20 now.
Yes,
It
sir.
says, finally, be strong in the Lord and in the strength of his might.
Amen.
Put on the whole armor of God,
Amen.
that you may be able to stand against the scheme of the devil. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but
Against powers and principalities.
against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers over this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly place. Therefore, take up the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand in the evil days,
Amen.
and have done well, and have done all to stand firm. Stand therefore, having fastened on the belt of truth, and having put on the breastplate of righteousness,
Amen.
and as shoe for your feet, having put on the readiness given by the gospel of peace. In all circumstances, take up the shield of faith, with which you can extinguish all the flames, darts of the evil one, and take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the Word of God,
Mhm.
praying at all times in the Spirit, with all prayers and supplication. To that end, and keep alert with all perseverance, making supplication for all the saints, and also for me, that words may be given to me in open my mouth boldly to proclaim the mystery of the gospel, for which I am an ambassador in chain, that I may declare it boldly as I ought to speak. That's my reading. Continuation from Ephesians chapter 6, 10 to 20.
Amen.
Leonard, um, before I go into the program, we have a lot going on. You know, would you like to say what's on your mind, my brother? Because we all have a lot on our mind. You
Uh,
want to share what's on your mind, and no one can stop no one to say what's on their mind. That's your God-given right.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Um, I have the impression that what I'm about to say may end up being part of tonight's presentation,
Not a
and I'm not
problem.
too sure how much of it I need to spill right now, or maybe I need to probably decompress a little bit by spilling out some of it. I don't know. Maybe that's a possible alternative.
Go
You know,
right ahead.
so
Go
that
right ahead.
so one my brain, I mean, my brain doesn't blow up or my veins doesn't burst. If I can relieve a little bit of it.
Yes, sir.
So
You have the floor. Go ahead.
I'm trying to preempt the program by saying that uh, I do have a concern, sir, and there are many issues going on that we need to speak to. But this one particular issue, there's two of them. But this one I would like to take up on a personal agenda. That is that the commissioner of police of our country, Belize, his name being Mr. Rosado, title, have me very much aggrieved. First of all, the gentleman has been in the police force for a while now. He rose to the ranks of where they put him as deputy commissioner at one point before he became commissioner, and he has studied to the extent of acquiring a doctorate degree. And I presume that is why they promoted him to police commissioner, because he's supposed to be an educated or enlightened person. But somewhere along the line, someone, because of their interest to facilitate this gentleman to become commissioner instead of the other person that was really next in line to be the commissioner, they pushed the other person aside and went ahead and chose this gentleman. Somehow, that person did not weigh the pros and cons as regards to the individual's knowledge about policing, first and foremost. Secondly, his qualifications as regards to an awareness and knowledge of the Constitution and the laws and requirements that a person occupying that office is supposed to be familiar with. That is, for example, the basic premise of the law, the supreme law of Belize, of the land, being the Constitution. And it wouldn't have taken that gentleman, as well as anybody else, including myself or you, Mr. Chairman, more than a couple of minutes to read the first and second section of the Constitution of Belize, and more particularly, the second section of the Constitution of Belize, which is less than 100 words. So then why am I have to be put in a position where I have to be making this long commentary and dissertation on this gentleman's shortcomings, his scofflawness, being the maximum lawman in the land, and being so educated at that, to not follow the Constitution or desire to follow the Constitution or fulfill his obligation under which he swore allegiance to the Constitution and the country of Belize? Why is it that they, I was about to say they, but why is it that he, because I'm personalizing this now, why is it that he cannot find it within his own mind, heart, thoughts, knowledge, or whatever is required of him so that he can perform as an adequately empowered commissioner of police to do his duty according to the Constitution and the laws of the land? He's not above the laws of the land. He doesn't make the laws of the land. He cannot arbitrarily and capriciously decide that he's going to violate the existing laws of the land and expect not to have any repercussions. Well, maybe he's not going to have any repercussions from his superior or from anyone else, maybe including the legal system itself. But by George, he's going to have some repercussions as far as at least my being aware of his shortcoming and pointing it out to him. I hope he's not thin skinned, like we would say back in Belize. You know, we call people thin skinned when they commit wrongs or they do wrongs, and when they are told about the wrongs that they're doing, they become offended. Like if by telling them about the wrongs is any worse than the wrongs that they're doing, why people have to complain about the wrongs in the first place? This gentleman, I'm definitely sure, has the capacity, the intellectual capacity, the scholastic aptitude, the maturity to recognize that he's not doing what he knows he's supposed to do, what he knows is right, or should know is right. Because I would be passing that maybe the gentleman really doesn't know. You know, I mean, you know, that come with the territory when they give you a job because of who you know or who know you, rather than what you actually know in order to facilitate you doing the job adequately. And in this instance, this gentleman cannot be violating the Constitution of Belize, Section 2, Subsection 1, or Section 6. Let me stipulate what these citations are, because just making the citations, people might not get the sense of what I'm trying to convey. Section 2 of the Constitution speaks about the supremacy of the law, the Constitution being the supreme law of the country. He should know that. The next one, Section 6, as the commissioner, he should know that under Section 6, equal protection of everybody in the country is afforded constitutionally, not if he likes so or not, or if he wants to or not, as well as uh, other sections of the Constitution.
Yeah. 2 more minutes there, Leonard.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Yeah.
So, uh, all I'm trying to say is that I wish this gentleman would maybe go back and review those things, or if he doesn't have the inclination to do so, solicit support from his Attorney General, who is supposed to know these things, has won a case on some of these merits in the past, and therefore should be able to give proper guidance, legal guidance, and recommendation to the police department and the head thereof, which is the commissioner, in order for them to do their job legally, lawfully, and constitutionally as required of them. One last statement in closing this particular comment, I would like to say it appears to me that even though the present Attorney General, whom I referred to just now, that's Mr. Saliva himself, I'm calling names because I don't mind calling names and kick butts. If that has to happen. I'm no respecter of person when it comes to my country, its people, and its territorial integrity. So I don't want to hear nobody come to me and tell me no nonsense that I need to be more respectful or that I shouldn't, be too tough on some people or whatever. These people are in those positions because they're supposed to be able to handle the position constitutionally, legally, rightfully, and not act as scofflaws. So if the commissioner is not willing to go to the attorney general, it is, I would say, the attorney general's purview to make recommendation to the commissioner that he cannot be found willfully violating the laws of the country, because he's not above the law either. He is subject to prosecution. And I think, like I said, this matter might be discussed a little further into the program again.
Yes, yes. Now
Therefore, I
this
don't want
is a
to,
matter. Yeah, this is a matter that I had on the agenda to discuss.
I don't want to abuse your kindness and
Yes,
have
I
to
thank you.
make that
But
comment.
thanks for the
Come back to it afterwards.
your perspective, and then that is what's been bothering you so far, and a lot more. But you brought that out, and thank you for enlightening that. And we
You're
will
welcome.
talk more. We'll talk more about that, Leonard, because it's getting out of hand. You know, again, a little public announcement. Be careful out there. The roads are slippery and wet,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't have the best of highways and roads. All mud and water in and out these villages. And on the highways in some places. So be careful out there. And then another thing that I observed there's a lot of checkpoints popping up now, right? So make sure that you carry your insurance and your driver's license and your vehicles are licensed, and don't drink and drive responsibly, because these people are out there for a big hustle. You see what they tend to do, right? They boosting up the fleet. They find money to hire more traffic warden. They get donations from vehicles and all that. But the main thing what they should be doing, they're not doing. That is more important to the Belizean people, right? That is more important, not Mr. CEO Chester Williams' initiative or agenda or Zabani agenda. No, it's not that. You have things far more important than traffic department. But anyway, although there's lots of accidents and thing, and they narrow it down and say what they think that is the root cause of these accidents, which the experts have proved them wrong. But anyway, we will talk about these, on a later time. But I want to welcome Mr. Gregory Brackett. He was in the back queuing up and getting ready, and welcome my brother to the 290 edition of our Belizean Affairs show. Welcome there, Greg.
Good night, gentlemen. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to also say good night to the people at home and abroad, and I want to thank them for tuning in to this 390th edition of Belizean Affairs. Hoping that tonight's show will bring you some form of education that you can use to enlighten yourself and what is happening in the jewel. I go back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you, and to continue on the compel there, Leonard, that what he should be doing, he's not doing. There was a swearing in of the police association. There was one corporal that he had refused to swear in. He's swearing the other four, and that one he didn't for his own vexatious reason and for his own agenda, right? And petty stuff. The dreadlock corporal, right? I just hope and pray that something be done and he be put in his place either by the corporal's attorney or somebody that really is ready to step up and defend this corporal, right? And give him his constitutional right and put this Richard Rosado, the commissioner of police,
in his place.
Right?
Yep.
So on that, and then on the police side, their Sims has been done for the Sims system has been done for 2 weeks, according to the information I got. That is what he should be concerned about, not about dreadlock, right? Mr. Rosado, that should be your main concern, okay? Some say that because the bill hasn't been paid, right? That's what they are saying, right?
Mr. Chairman, on
Yes,
that,
sir.
the bill, is it because they're not appropriating enough budget to cover those expenses, or
Yeah,
mismanagement of funds?
exactly. Then we see again this guy. The last time I could remember, he took out a lamppost, this minister in Mofredai, my hometown, my not about 3 miles away from where I was born, and he wasn't at fault. He didn't do anything wrong, right? Right. And now he's saying that there's no corruption in his ministry. The Ricana guy, the minister Ricana from down south, right? There is widespread leaks of corruption. We'll talk about that. And
I used to call him my friend, Mr. Chairman. Long story
I
behind.
remember, I remember, right? Then Belize ranks
Oh, man.
the best place, affordable place in the Caribbean to live,
All right.
right? But then again, we'll talk about that for who? The best place for who?
If you have,
Then the BTL saga continue. You're hearing conflicting reports now, and they all have a couple of them are still on the same agenda, on the same page, but there are some that are slipping and sliding away from that saga, that BTL saga. The Shabbat guy and the Briseño guy, the prime minister, they're on the same page. Same page.
Mr.
That
Chairman, remember I
Yes,
mentioned
sir.
when I talk about this subject about how a lot of them when they run like cockroaches when the light turn on?
Exactly. Right.
Exactly what you're describing, sir.
And then and
Terrible.
then on the same chairman guy, the BTL chairman guy, when he says that they pulled the plug on Channel 7, no, he says that it was just a little payment problem and bill problem, but the prime minister says that
Outright lie.
there
Outright
was a
lie.
glitch. He
Well,
says, yeah, so two of them, which one of them you will believe? He said
not
there was
you.
a glitch in the system, right? There was a glitch. So,
They are both the
um,
same. They are both the same. You know, I believe none of them, sir, because one work for the other one. And he work for
yeah,
one to do the same kind of
yeah.
thing the first one you do. Two hundred work with
So the Shabbat guy says that
rascals.
the SI he has done. He's the PSU. I mean the chairman guy, right? And he's a big man in the utility
Yes, sir.
ministry. And he says the SI is done.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like what they say. SI is to put things on rest, on hold, right? That's what he said. That's the meaning of SI. That's his meaning. That's
Mr. Chairman,
Briseño's meaning. Put
can I
things on
interrupt you
hold.
again? I misbehaved
It,
tonight. Sorry about it.
yes, sir. You misbehave. Yeah, go ahead.
I wonder if the man get one chance to read where our colleague and panelist and senior engineer right here with us now, Mr. Greg Brackett, had written. Because if he read what Greg had written, I think he want to go back and say he need more time to prepare that reply. If he can really take a stab at it, but in the
So
first place, he shouldn't be taking no stab at it. And if he can take a stab at it, Yeah, one
So
have
we will discuss that. We will discuss that. So the Shabbat guy and the Briseño guy on the same page with BTL, and the Briseño guy says that you know the deal must go through because then if not, Belize stand to lose. The BTL stand to lose money. Stand to lose money. That is his latest couple hours ago. But I'll pass. Go back to you now, Greg. You know
uh,
because
so Chairman,
we
before you
here
go,
we have a way we
when you mentioned
we
said
produce.
when you said just now that he said that they stand to lose money, is because that's what they were going to bring to us after they finish tell us this thing. That's the new thing where they and jump on the new horse
Yes, sir.
because they want to sell that thing back to Mr. Ashcroft.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
bottom
So
line.
I'll turn it over to Greg, and he will roll after this. He'll roll the clips, and we will discuss. Go ahead, Greg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tonight, Mr. Chairman, I want to clarify in specificity about the BTL saga and this acquisition, if you allow me to.
Go ahead, Greg. Go ahead. You have the
And I
floor.
want to show the public at home and abroad why this acquisition will be unconstitutional and unlawful. But before we go there, I want to play a clip to hear what Mr. Brackett has to say first so that we can have an open discussion for the people at home and abroad.
Of the press release, guys, as well. So there they are making the case to cabinet. All this is after the fact, This thing shall be done approve. They are going through a rigorous round of consultation. Now hold that there. BTL presents, now listen to this, made its presentation to cabinet on a proposed acquisition of SpeedNet following presentation that made to the Social Security Communication Workers Union, Executive Committee of NTUCB. The cabinet has announced that it will make its position public when BTL has concluded round of consultation. No, sir! The cabinet, the House of Representatives. This is a policy level decision. No, I just want to hear how the consultation go. You meet with NTUCB. So what they say? I like that. No, sir. You are in charge. The government of Belize had to make a decision to go from a monopoly to competition. They did that 24 years ago.
2004.
So now, you are going to say that, well, after Mr. Mark talked to the Social Security and NUCB, I think we know how we stand then. No, sir, you are abdicating your responsibility. You are abdicating your responsibility. You must go to Parliament. Make the people debate and decide. They are the people's representatives. We may not like them very much, but they are the people's representatives. They debate and decide if our country should have a monopoly telecoms or should have competition. We were told 20 plus years ago, not 100, 20 plus years ago that competition is best. And I think we see the fruits of that. The active competition has brought down prices. The chairman of BTL said, we're in a race to the bottom. Well, the consumers love the bottom because that's how we get the best prices. I understand. And, it might not be maximally profitable. BTL made $28 million in 2024. That's not too shady, but my point is that what concerns me is when the Minister of Public Utilities, Minister Shabat, came out and said that, we are proposing this SI to freeze rates for a year, regardless of what happened. Well, once you say you freeze rates for a year, that means you increase it after that. Mm-hmm. That's what the plan is.
Yeah.
Yep.
The plan is we're going to end competition.
Give you a leave break. Then
We'll give you a leave break.
because feel good.
Feel good.
And then
Boom! Because they're in a race to the bottom right now. They don't like the bottom. Consumers like the bottom. That's how we get the best prices. But we're in a race to the bottom right now. And that race is going to end. So we're going to go up. And we're going to increase our revenue on y'all's head. Because we're going back to monopoly. So I find that very suspicious.
Mr. Chairman, I go to you first, sir.
Greg, I could say it's a monopoly, and only a few people will stand to gain, and they will gain after using the same people who they will stifle taxpayers' dollars, right? So I asked Mr. Brisenio, how much money is going to come out of your company Smart? How much money is going to come from Ashcraft? How much money is going to come from Next Gen? How much money? And by the way, you hear this guy also, this Shabbat guy, Greg and Leonard also mentioned there is 23 broadband users, 23 in Belize. So I don't know who they are, but he didn't call the names. So who, my whole thing is that it's a lose situation for the Belizean people all around, because then you have we had talked about this before, who will profit and who will lose. And you hear them talk about it's not a monopoly, right? But I think that there should have been a better way. And when you had mentioned about the competition that is coming, so I asked, are they foreseeing this competition that they won't be able to stop my people, both at home and abroad? They won't be able to stop that competition that is going to come in Belize pretty soon, right? So it's like I said it earlier. Is it
Starlink.
because they already see what's happening, like how Dean Barrow saw what Bresenia was going to do when he took office? So they already, this is a smart guy. He already see again. Bresenia already see. So it's a sad situation to see how these people just sit in office, and the power that the people vested upon them, and how they manipulate that power and use it to beat the very same people that gave them that power. Sad situation. Back to you, Greg. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's go to Leonard. Go to Leonard.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Um, with your permission, sir, I'll take the liberty of reading here section 6 of section 16 of the Constitution of Belize, which reads as follows. 16.1 says, subject to the provisions of subsection 4, 5, and 7 of this section, no law shall be made or shall make any provision that is discriminatory either of itself or in its effect. No law. Okay? That's what the Constitution says. So they can't go there and think that they want to change the law and make one law to discriminate, and that will be considered to be legal, lawful, or constitutional. But they go ahead and do it anyhow. I'll read the second part. Subsection 2 says, subject to the provisions of subsection 6, 7, and 8 of this section, no person shall be treated in a discriminatory manner by any person or authority. Hello, Mr. Rosado. This is for you, sir. It shouldn't take you too long to read less than 30 words. To educate yourself, enlighten yourself about your responsibilities, rather than just try to haul something out of your back pocket and say this is what you think is what you're going to entertain or try to do. Because you're not above the law, you have to follow the law, stop being a scofflaw, and do what is right. We are paying you We have you hired to do a job, not on us, but for us. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Greg.
Hey, Greg?
I also
thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to say this based on what Mr. Vasquez had said on the chair, and I hope the people at home and abroad who is familiar with the Constitution will know exactly how the hierarchy or the key laws run in Belize. In number one is the Constitution, the supreme law of Belize. In the number two slot is what you call acts of
Substantive,
parliament. In
substantive,
number three is what you call
administrative.
regulatory laws, as in the telecommunication regulation. And at number four is policies, which is administrative.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Mr. Vasquez was asking the question, why don't they take it to Parliament and let the people decide? I can tell you why they don't want to take it to Parliament. Because I believe the Prime Minister will not have the full support of the House and the Senate. That is why he is going after this workaround to have the PUC draft regulation and
Inconsistent,
present a SI that will be signed by the Minister of Telecommunications,
which cannot trump the Constitution.
Michelle Shebat. Well, I want to say that the Parent Act or the Act itself give the minister the power to sign SIs, okay? But those SIs can only fall into regulations that do not trump the Parent Act, and that is the problem they are having. And tonight, I want you to hear it, people at home and abroad, not from my mouth,
Uh, before you
but
play,
I will let you hear it from the Prime Minister's own mouth.
Greg, before you play that piece, can you stipulate or clarify as to the linchpin that they have against them? They might be able to have um, um, super majority in the House and clear that matter from the House, but they have already been put on notice by the Senate, which is a backstop that they can't get over because four senators have already said that they will not go along with this shenanigan to steal from the people, and that if it need be, the UDP three senators along with those four will have seven altogether, which is a majority vote of 13, and the matter will not carry the day. Can you explain that to us again, just for public consumption?
Well, as I mentioned before, right, in order for it to pass through the House, through the National Assembly, both the House and the Senate has to agree. And if the Senate does not agree, it will not pass. And this is also an issue. But before I continue, let me clarify to the people at home and abroad what I was saying earlier using the scroll banner because I want to show them what I was saying.
Could you verbalize it afterwards, if you don't mind, sir?
I will do that once it goes around, and I will say exactly why, as I was saying. A statutory instrument made by the minister or by another authority with the minister's approval carries the force of law within the scope delegated by the Parent Act. So it does not overthrow the Parent Act. Let me read it again. A statutory instrument made by the minister or by another authority with the minister's approval carry the force of law within the scope delegated by the Parent Act. Now, let me go to the second part so everybody can see where I'm coming from. And I will let it go around before I start to read it. Here we go. Listen carefully. It does not amend the primary legislation. Example, the Telecommunication Act itself must stay within the authority the Act confers. If it exceeds that authority, it can be challenged in court and it will be ultra-virus to the Parent Act. So it's simply saying the minister has the power to do ISI, but only to regulate so there is competition, not to trump the Parent Act that specifies that there should be competition. In order to change that, they must go to the House and they must amend the Parent Act. So it cannot be changed, and no SI that they sign cannot trump it. It has to stay within the Parent Act. It's like you're trying to take a child to make a decision over a parent. It cannot happen. Okay? So I want you to people at home and abroad to understand that carefully. And I will show you now what the Prime Minister is trying to do. But as I say, they always tell on themselves. Because in the tape, you will hear him outrightly say it. You will hear him say it. They want to get this through this way, and when the noise comes from the people and the public, after they get their way, then he wants to go back to the House to amend it, to make it official. Let's listen to the tape. Because, as I said, these people always do what?
Tell
on themselves. Listen to it carefully.
It is not a matter of consolidation. Our responsibility is to ensure that BTL can be as profitable as possible. But at the same time, we have to ensure that the consumers are protected at all times, that they are not price gouged, and that they give the best service possible. Technology changes, so it's a lot of investment that has to take place to be able to keep up. And that is where the Public Utilities Commission comes in. In my discussion with Minister Shabat, he said that the PUC is already working in setting up a regulation, an SI, whereby that he will sign, probably next week, whereby they were saying that there will be no rate increase probably for the next 12 months in the telecom industry, with or without any consolidation. Whilst I think now more than ever, you start to realize that probably we need to start to put some regulations in that industry, in that sector, the same way you have it in the water and energy sectors.
See what I'm saying, right? He is trying to use this aside to trump the parent act as though they went to the National Assembly when they just went to cabinet and they are trying to get this thing through. But when the heat come down, he will try and go back to the House for a minute when they already know that's the first step they need to do as we speak. Go to the House first and present it and see if it will pass the National Assembly. I go back to you, Mr. Weir.
I'll yield to Leonard. Go ahead, Leonard.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wade. Thank you very much, Greg, for that lucid and concise presentation. I also want to add that the Prime Minister, for those who are not paying keen enough attention, is also implying that part of the changes that they want to make is to allow for 12 months derogation of any raise of price, as he's classifying it, to avoid any potential price gouging to the society within the next 12 months. But he failed to follow up and say what will happen after that 12 months. And it doesn't take a rocket science to be able to figure that last part out, which is probably why he left it unsaid. That is, if they want to protect them for 12 months, they could have protected them for longer than 12 months, or they must start gouging them after 12 months, which is more likely the real scenario. But these guys like to do double speak and pretend that they are being so eloquent, when in fact they deliberately and maliciously relate to the public with criminal intent. That is, to bamboozle us into allowing them, to give them the opportunity then to go ahead and buy his family's assets with we government money. That's what he's after. And he appoint these cabinet members. He get the members of his party in the House elected as the leader of the party. He appoints the statutory body chairmen and other appointees, all of whom he is canvassing right now to have them acquiesce to the idea of allowing his family to get bought out by us. And we will buy out systems that are depleted and outdated, that we won't have then the money to be able to buy modern technology to compete with whatever other modern technology that comes in later on. For all you know, they could turn around and use the money that they get from us to come in afterwards with a new telephone company with new and modern stuff that will outstrip BTL, which is our company. Because then we will not have the cash flow to compete or to bring in anything new. And they will come in with new equipment and new everything. And at the end of the day, we will still owe them money for the next 4 years. Now they're talking about we don't have to pay them all the money up front. We could just pay them, within 4 years in different payments. BTL just made one of the biggest profit that they ever made, which amounted to about 28 million last year. 28 million times 4 is how much? 425 is equal to 100. 4 trees is what? 12. We're talking about about $112 million that if BTL couldn't be as profitable as they were last year within the next 4 years, they will come up with enough profit to cover $112 million of that $170 million. Where the other rest is going to come from? And that's because they will be using all the profits. Okay? If you take all the profits for the next 4 years and give it to them, which means that not only BTL but their company that they are selling to us will be working along with BTL for BTL to get the profit to be able to pay them off. That means no money is going to be left for BTL to give any other shareholder or to buy any other equipment or do anything else. Who idiots these people think they're talking to? Does the Prime Minister believe that he's so smart? Or he's the only smart one? Or only his cabal of kleptocrats and mobsters understand financial issues? What's wrong with these guys? And they're being told, they're being exposed, and they're claiming that they're being embarrassed and they don't like to be embarrassed, but they're still going ahead. Why? At the end of the day, whatever or however is it that they can swing this deal and make this money get paid out, that's what the game is all about. Getting that money. Are you about, Mr.
Sad,
Chairman?
sad to see, sad to see the priority of this prime minister and his minions. Sad to see the priority, right? For me, their priority is just about how to steal from the Belizean people and make a profit. That's all they're thinking about right now.
Over and over and over.
And disregard the actual priority of the nation, priority of the people. Like for instance, one simple the price of gas. You see, he's trying to fight to bring the price of gas. So you see ever mention when
No.
last did he ever come up in the house and says, starting midnight tomorrow or so, the price of gas will be so and so and so. You know, no, right? Because that's not their priority. They know, right? They just into the business of sucking like leashes. You know how the leashes suck. That's how this prime minister is,
Mr.
and he
Chairman,
has no shame, guys. This guy has no shame
Mr. Chairman, the man
doing
could
it.
have reduced, he could have do what you're recommending to reduce the gas price by 150 cents. That
So
wouldn't hurt him. By 25 cents,
so
by
I
10
say
cents, by 5 cents, by 1 cent. 1 cent the man can reduce the thing for.
so I say
Great.
this guy has no shame, no shame at all. Right across the border, there, guys, the price of a what we call a regular gas is $7.28.
Mm-hmm.
The middle gas is $7.55. The super gas is $7.69. Belize diesel $6.90. Huh? And that guy has no shame at all, right? So we see where his priorities. We see plainly where his priority is at. And I want to welcome, guys, Mr. Gregory Morrison. Thanks for joining us, my brother.
Good
It's
evening,
always a
gentlemen.
pleasure to
Evening,
to
Good
sir.
have you
evening. Good night, Mr. Morrison.
on our program.
Good
Good night.
evening. Thank you very much for the invite.
You're welcome, sir.
Um, I pass it to you, Mr. Morrison. We were on the BTL saga.
Mr. Chairman, before you do, I need to go back to that tape to clarify what I was
Oh,
saying
okay. Oh, yeah. The
because
final on that tape.
I
Yeah, go
played
ahead.
a tape and I said that I wanted the people at home and abroad to hear it from the Prime Minister's mouth.
Yes.
And here on Belizean Affair, we show and tell.
Go ahead,
But
Greg.
as I was saying, so Mr. Morrison can get within the conversation.
Yes.
The reason, again, I believe the Prime Minister does not want to go to the National Assembly is because the acquisition by BTL will go through scrutiny and I don't think it will pass, which I must repeat myself again that the way they are planning to do this by going through PUP and having the Minister of Telecommunications sign a side will also not help them because that is unconstitutional and unlawful. An SI that is signed in regulation cannot trump the act of parliament. It cannot trump the parent act. And they know this. And this is what I'm trying to put out there.
They have
Let's go to the tape,
they have to
gentlemen.
change they have to change
Go ahead.
the act before they could deal with new SI.
They must amend it.
Yeah.
They have to amend it. Let's go to the tape, gentlemen. People at home and abroad, I want you to hear what the Prime Minister has to say right at the last of the tape.
I don't know that there is a monopoly. As far as I know, there are about 23 other broadband providers in this country. So I don't know that there is a monopoly.
Mr. Shabat had said that he does not believe you can say there's a monopoly when you have 23 other broadband providers, but BTL in this move, when the other three cable companies were in play, you were singling out three. So if you want to consolidate and monopolize, why not bring all of them in?
But again, that's not true in the instance because you have access to broadband services. Broadband services are available about 20 other companies that we presently have. But the idea, again, on the entire consolidation of the industry, again, it's a matter where BTL, as we did not go into that discussion in cabinet. We just discussed the smart BTL. But from what we understand is that what they're trying to do is trying to create efficiencies. And also remember, taxpayers invested almost $700 million in the BTL. And if they do not make changes, it's going to crash. As it is right now in their projections, without a consolidation, their growth is flatlining for the next 5 years. And whilst if revenues are not going up, cost continues to go up. So there has to be a way where they could consolidate and create more efficiencies in the industry. That would make BTL more successful and by extension Social Security and all our taxpayers. Okay?
Expect more legislation apart from that aside for monopoly.
Well, it's not a monopoly. It's not a monopoly, but it's not a monopoly. But yes, we want a more active public service commission for them to be able to put regulations and if necessary, if there's a public utilities commission. Sorry, we want a more active public utilities commission to be able to put more regulations and where necessary to amend the law, then we will do so.
There you go, gentlemen. You heard him say where necessary to amend the law.
He will do
They
so.
know they have to amend the law first as we speak before any acquisition can take place. But they are trying to force it through the back way in violation of a constitutional act.
Yeah.
BTL is enshrined in the Constitution. It is an act of parliament. No minister has that power to sign a SI that will trump the parent act for the acquisition to go through. I go back to you,
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Greg.
Other,
Thank you for clarifying. I go to you, Mr. Morrison. I come to you, Leonard.
uh,
Let's go
Thank
to
you very
Mr.
much.
Morrison here.
Yeah,
Let's bring him in
I
today into the
yes, thank you very much.
conversation.
Thank you very much for letting me join the conversation. I think the tape that Mr. Brackett played showed the telecommunication minister totally overstepping his responsibility to the people of Belize, the taxpayers, and to the funds that are invested by Social Security Board. You know, these people they're showing their true colors in terms of what outcome they want instead of presenting it in an open and transparent way so that maybe I've told you
Amen to
before I
that.
don't have a problem
Amen to that.
I don't have a problem with the acquisition itself. I don't have a problem with monopoly in that industry itself. I know we had spent a lot of money to untangle that and to create competition, but it might work out in that way. What we're not getting is transparency. What we're not getting is a true valuation of what these companies should cost. What we're not getting is the proper legal process that the government needs to go through to make this acquisition. And for sure, it will need legislation. For sure, this sort of buyout needs to be taken not just to the cabinet, but to the people's representative, to Parliament. Parliament needs to make the decision, and well, they will not make the decision exactly because the PUP has a majority, but Parliament needs to have its say and to be able to vet out what's going on. How could a company um, come to you and say we want to sell, and they give a price, and then the buying company doesn't make a competing offer, doesn't get to look at the books? How come the people that are now purchasing this company doesn't hear about what the projections for profit, what were the profit and loss for the period for these companies there that's being acquired by BPL?
Due diligence.
We need to have that sort of information clear and continuous, and it's not private. It's not private. This is no longer to be considered private acquisition. This is a public acquisition because public funds is being used in every way. It is stocks that's being traded, shares that are being sold, and the end benefit and ownership will result in the people of Belize, primarily for this company. So for these companies. So we do need to have these things cleared up. And they were talking about competition with 26 other companies. Yeah, they're small players. They're not the primary providers of these services. They're providers that serves little communities and little niches, and those will continue. And that competition may continue to exist. But that's not what they're doing. Is the two largest um, players in the area, Smart, Next Gen, and BTL. They are going to be setting with their infrastructure. They'll be setting the price and the control. However this acquisition work, or if they stay separate, they're going to be setting the prices because it is their infrastructure that these other small providers operate on. And so it is very disingenuous for both the prime minister and for the minister of telecommunication to tell that lie. It's a plain lie. It's not
Man,
misspoke.
Thank you.
It is
thank you.
it is misdirection and a lie. So thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Morrison. Leonard,
Yes,
go
sir.
ahead.
Nice explanation, Mr. Morrison. I would like to add that everything else that's going on is a distraction from the main focus, and that is that the Prime Minister and his family and the Lizaragas them and the Ashcrofts and others want to be paid upfront with our money from our company. They are willing to take all the profits from the company, as I explained earlier, $28 million last year, which was their best year, and they multiply that times 4 years that they are going to give allowance for the total payment of $170 million to be paid out. Where the hell the other $50 million is going to come from? After you take all the profits, if we do for the next 4 years as good as we did last year, take all that profit and pay nobody else other than just give it to these jokers that are trying to shyster us right now. Okay? We don't still 150 million. Where is that 50 million coming from? Are we going to turn around and sell back part of the same assets that we bought from them? And then where are we going to get money to invest in the company over the next 4 years? When, as we all know, Mr. Morrison would know too as well, Gregory would know, and I would venture to say almost everybody knows that telecommunication and electronic industry shifts and changes every 3 to 6 months, sometimes 12 to 18 months. Things become obsolete, much less in 4 years. The Prime Minister said that changes are going to happen. They're going to have to deal with the same thing that I'm describing right now. He recognizes that, which is why they're trying to sell their junk to us. And here's the Prime Minister wields the power to facilitate and enable that kind of craziness. And he is about to go through whatever needs to be gone through in order to achieve that objective, regardless, and to hell with the people. Because he appoints all those people in those boardrooms, okay? He appoints his own cabinet. Right now, he's having difficulties with his own cabinet. I'm telling you, and I said before, I challenge the Prime Minister to not have any change in his cabinet between now and the end of this year. And I still hold true to that observation. He will not be able to do so. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Leonard. Greg, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, I want to say this, right? Because there are many Belizeans at home and abroad that does not know the Constitution and does not know that acts of Parliament can only be changed through amendment. But I want to broadly specify this. Mr. Briseno is trying to do what the past Prime Minister did when he added a Section 9 into 69.
Right.
That was illegal and unconstitutional.
Still is illegal and
So
unconstitutional.
what he is trying to do here is informally add a SI onto the Telecommunication Act as though it went through the National Assembly. Then they will use that
to get their
to
way.
make the acquisition go through, and then they will come back and amend it into law, which is
Why?
again
Because
is
nobody will
unconstitutional
challenge them, Greg. Not to cut you
and
off, but nobody will
unlawful.
challenge them. So they will
And
do it.
They're taking us all for fools.
right, and to let you, the people at home and abroad, see it,
And just
this
chant.
is what they want to do, Mr. Chairman. Listen to it from the CEO.
Chance it.
You know that we've been accused of pulling the plug on some media houses. And we did a review to see, in fact, the good thing about our systems is that our systems can tell you when you were billed, when you were not, when you were disconnected, etc. All of that is there in our billing system. And there was a mistake, and we wrote a letter of apology to Channel 7, and I think Cabinet has asked that we share it. Because it's not the policy of the government, and it's not the policy of BTL to unplug anybody. And I took that really seriously, because I certainly did not ask that Channel 7 be unplugged or any media house. So you'll be receiving a copy of that letter, so that we are giving our reassurances that we're putting the media as an essential service type, where we would communicate with you before we cut you. Now, what happened with the billing system is, if there is a balance due by a certain day, it cut you automatically. We don't go down the list for say, if you pay, you pay, you pay, you pay. No, we have a billing system that does that, and does what it's called dunning. It cut you if you not pay. But what we're going to be doing now is what we do like for hospitals, police, other essential services. We not cut them. We would call them and say, hey, you have a bill, kinda. So we're putting the media houses onto that plan, where before any disconnection is done for non-payment, we would call you and say, please pay your bill, before we would just cut you, or the system would cut you. But now we're going to make sure that we call you and remind you, pay your bill, otherwise you could be disconnected.
And all of that was a bunch of lies, because the documents show that he did.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Greg. Come to you right now.
I want to say this because what he's saying is totally untrue. And I will tell you why. They are using the reverse psychology. All of a sudden now, BTL is publicly owned, and you don't hear them saying nothing more about private companies, private, public. You know why? They need the backing of the public funds to get this thing to go. And that's why they are calling it public owned. So people need to wake up. You're not hearing the language private anymore.
Yeah.
I
But
go
Thank,
back to you, Mr.
thank
Chairman.
you.
Mr. Chairman,
It's it.
Mr.
You want to
Lizarraga
go?
was
Go,
also,
Leonard. Go,
yes, sir.
go ahead.
Mr. Lizarraga was also lying outrightly when he said or intimated that Jules Vasquez and their company had not paid their bills, because the records show that they sent the man an apology letter indicating that they were at fault for disconnecting him. And that disconnecting thing happened way back, probably 3 or more years ago. It's just right now that they're under the gun, that they want Jews and the other people to weigh in on their side and to help them with their political, I mean, not political, with their media
Opposition.
campaign and information campaign to cease and desist, bringing the pressure down on them. But it won't happen. They already been caught with their hands in the cookie jar and they can't get it out because they want to bring out their hand not empty but full with the money. They will not see the issue of selling us that bogus package, and we are not about to give up either, because I think some of them need to go to jail. Are you that, Mr. Chairman?
Thank you, Mr. Morrison.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
sir.
I think in the little clip we saw, it surely um, clarifies a lot of things for a lot of people, and it does show that when comparing the contents of the letter that was sent out by the CEO, that what Mr. Lizarraga is doing is
Lying.
misdirection,
Mm-hmm.
misdirection and outright lying,
Mm-hmm.
um, and clouding the issues, trying to tell us the complexity of how we get disconnected and all that. And certainly, I'll tell you,
And that don't have nothing to do
certainly
with anything.
for any large company, they don't just cut them. You could have a mistake that cut you, right? But you don't just billing failing to pay your bill doesn't just result in that system for those utilities being cut. He's now saying they're going to prioritize their that, and that they'll make a call. He's kind of spoke of it whimsically. Um, you could make me a call right now and say,
Discrimination
"Hey,
in which way?
you didn't pay your bill. I'm going to cut you out in 2 hours, or I'm going to cut you out in 5 minutes." That's not the way you handle that type of arrangement for services for this type of critical and necessary function for the media. And
And that is
so,
not what they're talking. That is not what they're actually
Hold on,
talking about
Leonard.
anyhow,
Yeah.
because they're supposed to be talking about the fact that Jules, Amandala, and Plus TV, they were complaining about being victimized by the system when they are against the government. That's what they were talking
But
about. But
go ahead.
these guys are trying to play
I'll come
smart
back to
now.
you, Leonard. Go ahead, Mr. Morrison. Finish up. Yeah.
so those are real issues that and concerns that we have as both citizens, as people that are witnessing this interplay of trying to stage a monopoly once again, and also
Remember,
um,
Mr. Morrison, it's not a monopoly. Excuse me, right?
well, they're going to create a monopoly. They're going to create a monopoly, yeah, of sort, with limited competition on the periphery.
They're saying it's not a monopoly because they still don't have 20 other people they operate. They're jinxing
Oh
all of
man,
us.
these guys.
They're playing us for
Go ahead,
fools.
yeah. Go ahead, Mr.
Leonard,
Morrison.
you're
Go ahead.
taking all my
Sorry.
time.
Huh?
You're taking
Huh?
all my time.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead,
Go
Mr.
ahead.
Morrison.
So I remain concerned about it, in terms of the transparency of it. To me, there are advantages to monopoly. We know those. You don't have the redundancy of infrastructure. Um, you don't have you have the control over pricing and stuff.
Yeah.
But it does have some drawbacks, right? but I think if we could in fact create the savings that would result in a more robust and resilient
Uh, can I
let
ask
me
a
finish.
question?
Let me finish, sir.
Just
Let me
I'll
one
come
finish.
question.
back. I'll come back to you, Leonard.
Hold,
Let
hold
him
on,
finish.
Leonard. Hold
Let
on,
him finish.
Leonard.
I know I'm asking a question on
Hold
the
on.
point
No,
that
no.
you
Let him finish,
just
Leonard.
said.
Go ahead, Mr. Morrison.
You create that resiliency. I know earlier the comment was that the company profit 2024 was 20 about 24 million dollars. um, and the truth is, if they are able to acquire the customers of next gen and smart, that 105,000 individual consumers that's on that system, that revenue will then be part of BTL's growth. And so that will in fact increases BTL total income. We don't know what percentage is profit or so. So, but we could suspect that their profit margin, if operated efficiently and if they're doing things correctly, will substantially increase. I don't know what the total customer base for BTL is right now, and I don't know what percentage it is that of Smart and Next Gen. But we can clearly understand that the that the total income of BTL will increase, and we suspect with proper management and stuff that the revenue will increase from $24 million per year. So there is money to deal with an acquisition. The problem I have with it, and I keep repeating, the problem I have with it, and I keep repeating, is that we don't know exactly what the fair price should be of these acquired companies. And that is where we need proper accounting, and we need transparency, and we need projection for what the income is supposed to be. Um, Okay, I lost my thought there. Please go ahead, Mr. Brackett.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Okay.
I want to say something. First of all, the CEO of Detail say they are going to call or name the media houses as essential service. Mr. Man, you talking back at town. You talking hogwash. The media service is already an essential service to the public. That is how the public know what is happening
Mhm.
in the city, in this nation of Belize.
Okay.
That is how
So,
they know. I also want to
Greg,
say,
make I get the point. I'll try to get back to where Mr. Morrison was on a specific point.
go ahead,
But
Mr.
Give me a
sometimes,
chance.
Brackett.
Leonard,
Give me a chance.
when someone
Let
is
him go
talking,
ahead.
you lost your train of thought when
Sir,
you right.
sir,
Let
But
him go
I'll
ahead.
give you
let-
3 minutes for
let-
closing. Three
uh,
minutes. Yeah.
maybe use one and then save the
Yeah.
others afterwards,
Yeah.
because this point is very salient.
Yeah.
The assumption right now is that generally, if you buy one company that is profitable and working good, it's a positive investment cash flow stream to your company to boost, as Mr. Morrison was trying to imply just now, the status of BTL. If that was to be true, we have no such recommendations, no such studies, no such analysis, no such. They don't want to give us any information. All they want to do is sell us puss in a bag. And had we have
That's the
these things
bottom
done,
line.
which
Yeah.
they still have done,
Yeah.
we would have been able to see whether or not what they're selling us is viable, profitable, or good in. But we know that they just want to dump off on us. So we don't want no dump off business. Is our point. Not that business can't be the worst of business you could resurrect under the right condition and make it profitable. But that doesn't mean that you accept just about anything as a sale to you without due diligence. They are not affording us any opportunity to due diligence. And the representation that they are going and making to cabinet and have been making to us so far is a bunch of hooey. It has no merit on its face. They're just lying to us, and we catch them at every step of the way. They need to be honest to us. They need to tell us, okay, let's say they wanted to just sell us this thing. They could have said that from the very beginning, outright. They're proposing to buy this thing and hope to turn it around if it's not good. Or that maybe, like Mr. Morrison had alluded to earlier too, that because of the extra money that they won't get, the other
Smart.
companies, who's to tell that while they're currently making money from those companies, from um, the television streams and other things and so on, they have to turn around and accept liability as well. So we're gonna get saddled with that liability because some of them are not paying to those foreign companies.
I don't think the television companies are part of the deal right now. Those have backed out.
Wait. I'm saying when they came out with this idea of selling us $170 million package.
Yes.
Mr. Ashcroft, as a business person and a smart enough business person, recognized that his part of the deal was going to get clobbered by these guys selling bogus stuff that's outdated. So he wanted to disassociate his stuff, and he's demanding that it gets done like that, so that his stuff stands on its own feet. The point is that even if you do that, Smart of itself is not a viable investment, which is a competitor to BTL, for BTL to pick up in order to catch out somebody else up front. We can't afford that.
Thank you.
The system is changing rapidly. And
Thank
Starlink
you.
and any other company comes in. Because out of those 20 that they're talking about, who's to tell if one of those 20 not get a license or an agreement with some other outside people to come in and help them, and they become better on BTL? What the hell BTL and do? And when you get money for do anything, when they don't want money, they know that. They're a bunch of
Thank
grace.
you,
They
Mr.
just can't.
Morrison. Your mic is off. Okay. Mr. Morrison, to continue with your train of thought, I'll give you 4 minutes for your closing, sir. And
Yeah.
then back to
Thank you.
Greg and then Riddle.
Yeah. Yeah. What I wanted to say was that in BTL purchasing smart next gen, one of the big thing they keep telling us is that there's duplication, that there's redundancy within the system. Okay, so that redundancy is of no use to BTL if they have the infrastructure. If you have a fiber optic line running and your competitor has has two fiber optic line and you have two, you have one as your primary, you have one as your secondary. You don't need a third and a fourth. And so instances, in many instances, you will need to disengage those systems and to remove them from those infrastructure. So there are costs in acquisition of these, in the coming together of these companies. It will mean you have to remove some infrastructure. It's like McDonald's buying Burger King, and there's a Burger King and a McDonald's sitting on the same corner, right? When you consolidate, you can't have a McDonald's and a Burger King because they're each, now when you look at it, this one was already marginal, this one was already just on the edge. And so what you do, you need to demo that one of those entities, and then and that's a cost. It's a cost in terms of employees. It's a cost in terms of the building you have to demo and clean up and do remediation to the site. And similarly is the cost that would happen. And so that is something that BTL needs to carry, and they need to account for that. They need to say, in consolidating, we're expecting we'll have these carrying losses, or not losses necessarily, but these costs that will due to our consolidation, whether it's employees redundancy, whether it is equipment redundancy, building redundancy, and communication infrastructure. And so that is something we need from them in considering this deal. In addition to the transparency of knowing exactly the profitability of the company, what is not just tell me you're going to have 105 more customers, but tell me what revenue stream you expect to receive from those selected, from those now carryover customers that you'll be having. So there's a lot to be explained, and they owe us. They owe the people of Belize, they owe the taxpayers of Belize those type of answers, and to try and smooth things over, or shuffle things over with shovel things over with just thinking we're idiots and we don't have sense and we can't understand just basic arithmetic to come up with these answers that are needed is shameful, and we need to make sure that we impress upon the BTL board, the cabinet, that these are issues that needs answers before we could consider this. We need a proper accounting of where the the um, the revenue stream of is for these two companies. What's their profitability rate? What percentage? What are the equipment that they have that they're selling us now? You know
One more minute, Mr. Morrison.
it's fine, sir. What are
Yeah.
just put up your hand when my time expires. Uh, what equipment they have now that is going to be going into obsolescence that needs to be replaced? These are all important. They might be operating on a string right now in terms of maintaining their equipment. And so these are important questions that we need to get from the seller, and that needs to be presented to the board, and the board needs to make those information clear and explainable to the public of this country. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Morrison. Greg, got 5 minutes, my brother.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to say this. If you are watching the school banner, I want to put it out there as clear as daylight. An SI is subordinate legislation and cannot substitute for an act of parliament where the act itself has not provided authority. So I want to say this to you, the public at home and abroad. By the government having the PUC make regulations that will be signed by the Minister of the Telecommunications in an SI, it does not trump the Parent Act, and it does not give them the authority to do any acquisition of no other company. They must go to the National Assembly and amend the Parent Act. That is the only way to get this BTL saga dealt with. I want to also stipulate it that the buying out of smart speednet should have come down to half the price they wanted. Because when this government gets into power, he took from BTL to keep smart to where they are. And they were gaining enough money. So they made all those money on the back of the Belizean people again. And now they want to come back and double on it to get more. So people, you need to look at what is happening, because this is what is happening in the country. Okay, and
It's all being
Mr. Chairman, I hate to say this, but they already have this as a done deal. This is what they are trying to do. And I just want to go to the chair.
The PUC is preparing an SI, which will be sent to the Attorney General before it comes to Cabinet. And that is to ensure that things, for example, like there's a transitional period. During that period, rates will not be raised, bundles will not be changed, subscribers will not be allowed to be moved from one rate to another unless they specifically require it, and things like that.
transitional period means something changes. What's the change that is anticipated?
Well, it is anticipated, as you may have heard in the media, that there's a proposal to consolidate the two the telephone companies. Yes.
Yes, but making an aside for it sounds like government has made a decision to.
No, not at all. As the regulator, I think PUC has to prepare for every eventuality, and I think it is out there, it is in the public that this is being discussed.
And do you support a telecoms monopoly?
I don't know that there is a monopoly. As far as I know, there are about 23 other broadband providers in this country, so I don't know that there is a monopoly.
Disingenuous at the least.
Gentlemen, Mr. Brackett, I will ask your indulgence. I think we need to go a little bit further in time. Mr. Chairman,
What are we looking at, Greg?
we are
Yeah,
1:30.
Another 15
Mr.
minutes?
Right,
Mr.
Mr.
Chairman.
Chairman, I must ask your indulgence. You heard the chairman of BTL said that their system automatically cut you off if you don't pay, right?
Yeah.
Now I want to go to the state to hear what the Prime Minister has to say, and you will see what he says, and I will stop it right after he says it.
An important point we discussed in cabinet when Mr. Vasquez was alleging that he was illegally cut his services for whatever reasons. The chairman explained that what happened is that there was at that moment they were transferring to a new system, an automated system.
A blatant lie right there.
Why does that gentleman always open his mouth and speak to things that he's not properly appraised of?
I
Or
stop
that he
the
just
tape
wants to lie
right
to
there,
us?
Mr. Chairman,
Eh.
because that is not what the chairman of the board said. He said they had a system that cuts you off automatically if you don't pay.
And the man forget to remember that he's prime minister. Okay, that office needs respect.
I go back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Mr. Morrison. Thank you, Leonard.
We got another 15 minutes. Greg said, Mr. Chairman.
You have another tape, Greg, that you wanted to. Those were the ones, or you have another tape, or Greg?
We got 15 more minutes.
Okay, good.
We can have an open discussion and that, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman.
Thank you. Guys, like I've stated and I'm 100% with you, Mr. Morrison, based on what you says about transparency and accountability and come straight to the Belizean people and let them know the pros and the cons. Not that before you go and say it's a done deal or sign on to something that majority of the public, is not aware of. But these guys have a tendency of, doing away with our utilities. They sit in a little corner and they say who will profit and who will not profit and how much this one will get and how much the other a person will get and how much they stand to make. And the Belizean people is always the last one, the important ones that's supposed to know where the taxpayers' dollars is going and how much and what for and how and when and where, right? Always left in the dark, right? And this government is one of the worst when it comes to dealing with the people's assets, the country's assets. They disseminate it in their own personalized little group. They enjoy it in their own little groups, and all on the backs of the Belizean people. So sad. And they do not have the heart, the guts, nor the balls to come to the Belizean people and read the fine print in it. They always keep that in the dark for the Belizean people. when they do conscious, the Belizean, Fortress already sell out, we like bill don't gone up, and it don't gone up so much, The water bill don't gone up so much, right? So they're doing the same thing to us over and over and over again. And why do they do these things? Because they know that, nobody have the money. The public out there does not have the money to take their asses to court. And then sadly, if you take them to court, they're going to use the same taxpayers' money to fight you, the taxpayer. Right? So let that make sense, Mr. Briceño. Right? But like I say, I've said it on numerous occasions that, all these illegal, see my word, illegal, all these illegal things against the Belizean people and prostituting the Belize Constitution. You see, these things will not go away, because like I say again, I hope and pray that some other entity will come and look at these things and they will say, you, Dean Barrow, this is what you have done. And this is the evidence. And take your asses to court. Right? Because you have done something illegal, just the same way you take any other individual that commits a crime. So you should be held accountable. And you, Mr. Johnny Briceño, I hope that they come to the same way to you, whether you're 90, 99, 110. Because if you've done something illegal, it's illegal. And you should be held accountable for your actions. And especially when it has to do with the public assets. Public, not smart assets, nor Johnny Briceño assets. I could care less what you do with your gas company, your fuel depots. I could care less what you do with your personnel. But when it comes in time with the taxpayers' dollars and the poor people's assets, that disseminate, tear it up and do away with it, and little by little by little, and get away with it. I have a problem with that, right? So that's where I stand with that. I think, Mr. Briceño, you should come more clearly and stop the lies and stop the hiding, because things will come to light, Mr. Man. Same way it comes to light with Dean Barrow and George Price and all of them. Their wrongs come to light. Their rights come to right, and also their wrongs. Blatant wrong. So I say this, that come clean to the Belizean people, man. What are you afraid of? That's all I'm saying, Mr. Morrison. They gave us 10 more minutes. 15. I gave you 15. I gave you 3 out of that 15 minutes, Mr. Morrison. Have the floor with no interruption.
Thank you very much.
I just say the way I feel, guys. That's me.
We look at politics, and we look at how our government operates, and it is glaring, and it's showing us in the way just this level of corruption and undermining of the public trust in every way. There is not a single person in the PUP government, in the current government, that is speaking out in the interest of the people as it stands now. They're all silent, and that should be a warning for us. We hear some from the opposition, but we don't hear a proper and coherent message from them, and it becomes even more clouded when they involve themselves with one of the perpetrator or the pusher or backer of this specific situation of merger and acquisition. And so
he's the main culprit, Mr. Sir. I bite my own words and interfere with you. He's the main culprit.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that it tells us as a country and as a people we're up a hard creek, you know, we're up a hard creek. But it doesn't mean then that we just throw in the towels. And I'm kind of glad we have um, Sun Up and the Beef and those programs that has kind of been the lone voice in some ways in the big market space. We have our little voice, and I'm sure that we're making waves in terms of informing the public on what's going on. But I'm glad that we have those voices that is making the getting the information out to the general public in the way that they are, because what is happening is undermining, dirty hand, and corrupt, and we need to make sure that we're not taken to the river's edge once again with this situation without transparency, clarity, and just enriching a few more people like they did when we failed to move the hospital to the proper site that was allocated for it in Belmopan at the university campus. All these things are corruption that undermines or fiscal capability and providing for and caring for the people of this country. We don't have we don't have some very basic things like mental health, and we could have these things if we don't have all these corruptive and corrosive practices that take away
Amen.
the money from national treasury. So that I think is where my position stands, why we need to make sure that government is accountable to the people, that these transactions and businesses are are justified by proper accounting and accountability, and that we don't have a board with all people that are pushing. They said they will recuse themselves. They are committed to recuse themselves, but it's just a feast of mess. They're just feasting and destroying and undermining our citizens
Thank
and our fiscal viability for the company and for the people.
thank
Thank you.
you. Thank you, Mr. Morrison. Before I go to you, Leonard, we on this last previous program we had well, not a couple programs back, we had applaud Jules, Louis Wade, and Mose Hyde for coming publicly, right, on
Yes.
this issue, Mr. Morrison, right? They,
Yes.
they, they,
Yes.
they didn't bite their tongue. They state the way they felt about this
Yes.
whole acquisition, and you know, I, we applaud them through our program, right, Leonard and Greg?
Yes.
We
Sir,
right? And
Correct, Mr. Chairman.
yes, Leonard, you have 4 minutes.
I'll take two and give Greg the other two, sir.
Okay, sir.
Thank you. It baffles me how Mr. Briceño always claims to be a business person. And on an issue like this, he did not, with all the lobbying that he was doing among his appointees, them for them to bring this stuff in on his behalf, on his family's behalf, that he didn't saw it fit to make sure that whether they understood how to do a um, cost benefit analysis and or do due diligence, which would have allowed this thing to have gone through without no hang-ups. Because if they had done that, they would have been able to lean back on that and say, well, based on our cost benefit analysis, we believe that these numbers here, and they would point them out, makes the kind of sense that will keep us out of going into deficit after acquiring these assets and have these assets to bring additional benefits to the company, and the synergies of those two companies coming together, something positive would have come out of the acquisition. They have shown no such interest other than to say, we, the board members of BTL, have decided that we want to spend BTL's money, which is public money, by the way. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. And we have decided, as a public, private, and leaning on the private section, which is just a small amount of shareholders, by the way, we're going to decide to keep the public ignorant of what we are doing and do everything that we are doing behind closed doors in order for our boss or the person that appointed us and requiring of us to do this purchase is successful in achieving that objective. That is to sell us their junk, outdated stuff. They could have gotten that done by just following natural processes of business operations. But Mr. Alizaraga is supposed to have been a person with business sense because he had been the senator for the Chamber of Commerce and was supposed to have been somebody with some business sense. Just as they come to somebody of substance. I mean, there are a lot of people. Miss Lady had resigned the other day. What's her name? Miss
Cancino.
Cancino. She's a person of substance between her years, and many others. So I'm not questioning this guy's ability to be able to have gotten a proper due diligence done and look at the numbers and among themselves decided independently of the Prime Minister's pressure on them to have given us a proper report and a proper perspective as to the validity and viability of this undertaking. It seemed to me that the only interest is to complete this deal and to hell with anything else. And that's why I have my problem. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Leonard. Greg, go ahead, Greg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My good cousin, I want to state this to you as you have constitutional nights and Fridays. With all you said just now, they still could not do it. They still had to go to the House because it is an act of Parliament that must be amended for it. It must be amended past both House and Assembly for it to become law. So, regardless of how they want to put it and all what they try to do, it would have been unconstitutional and unlawful.
In return to your statement, I would like to say that what I stipulated earlier still stands. And that is because what you have just pointed out is part of what due diligence would have allowed for them. They would have gotten at the point where they would have completed those steps along the way and then have the sale done after those changes were made. They want to preempt all of that. They don't want to even deal with none of that. And they just want to have the directors who are appointed by the Prime Minister.
To answer that question,
I'll close it. The directors that are appointed by the Prime Minister, they want them to just answer to the Prime Minister's beck and call and just push this deal through. And once the stuff was signed and sealed, any other adversity that comes out of it would have been at our public expense again. These guys are not interested in the law or the legal process. It's not that they're ignorant. They know exactly what they're doing. They're just trying to bamboozle us and take us out for a bunch. Let me yield back. Let me shut up. I yield back.
Thank you. I want to say this.
To clarify something.
I want to clarify this, right? What we are dealing with here is legalized conspiracy from our present government. You cannot say you don't know when you first came into government and you are speaking now about details can crack. You took away from details for that company.
And
now you want to go back and double up on it.
Oh, man, thank you.
And you still have not recused yourself. You are trying to push it.
Thank you.
I just want to mention one
thing.
We talk about that they took away from BTL. I think it was late last year or sometime last year that all of government offices got transferred from BTL to Smart.
That's what we were talking about.
Yeah, and that was I remember Prime Minister Barra said, "What will you do to BTL?" So
including,
part of I
including,
would say part of what's making Smart more profitable now is that
including
the,
the
is
phone service, Mr. Morrison, so
yes,
they were made, that's how they are staying afloat.
yes, that's exactly my point. So what's
And now we
making
gotta pay them
Smart
for it.
what's making Smart
Uh,
viable is the ownership, is the operation of government offices, which should never BTL was always
No,
the
no, Mr.
clear.
Morrison, we must pay them for what they stole from us, from public funds.
but the
Yes.
prime minister doesn't know anything about that. He doesn't understand that. He engineered.
I go back to you, Mr. Chairman, for the
Thank
closing.
you, guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. You know,
Mr.
um,
Chairman, we will recruit you as the sheriff, the new sheriff in town. We are going to collect them guys and send them to jail. Because nobody else will do it.
there
Are
you
you?
go.
God
There
bless you.
you go. Well said.
But
Well said.
they need a flagging before they get sent to jail.
Yeah,
I already proposed that too.
yeah,
I said,
because you have to let them know why they're going to jail, right, Mr.
yeah,
Morrison? You
put them
have
at
to
the
know.
bridge.
Yeah, they have to know why. But
That's
anyway, yeah. But anyway, guys, it's a pleasure to to have this discourse. It's a pleasure, and
just chance.
we you see how we discuss real things that these people are doing to the Belizean people. How we discuss it, and we call it out, and we show points, and we show what they should have been doing and what they shouldn't have been doing. We talk about transparency, which is lacking, very 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 lacking in this administration and past administration. They always try to hide, and then you hear the BTL chairman. He says from his own mouth that the only person he's accountable to is the man that gave him that job, right? That's what he said
And they get
today.
300
Right.
odd thousand,
Yeah.
I thought he said he had a fiduciary responsibility to BTL. I didn't hear that part, but
Yeah. He
he lied.
says he says the only person.
Responsibility for appointment.
Yeah, he's the man that appoints him. And it goes a long way about appointment. Remember, he was an appointed senator too, and then he get appointed to
Yeah,
BTL, and then all
yeah.
right. But anyway, you see how the monopoly work and the nepotism work, and how they left the Belizean people in limbo always. So sad. And
Mr. Chairman, not to cut you short, but we're on the topping list too. If that
oh,
monopoly go through, the way we hunting these people, we get
yeah,
cut.
yeah. Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. They will come personally at my line and cut it right in my face. Cut it.
Well, Mr. Chairman,
Shut him up, because
they went to the parliament to make laws to shut us down before, didn't they? And
yeah,
they could.
yeah, they did, yeah, they did, yeah.
They never had
But
the
on
sense.
that note, Mr. Morrison, 2 minutes. I'll give you 2 minutes for a closing for our 390 edition, Mr. Morrison, please. 2 minutes,
yeah.
Greg.
Well,
I'll give you two
you know,
minutes.
I wanted to just sidestep. There was the situation with the American that came in with a gun. I don't know if you guys had discussed that.
Oh,
So,
yeah, yeah.
they,
What was on the agenda, Mr. Morrison, but we didn't get to it.
okay, okay. So maybe we'll grab that and talk about that a little bit next time. But
Uh,
staying
no,
on
sir,
the
sir, maybe we should have just take on 2 more minutes or 5 more minutes, sir, and close that out because Friday we have a lot of things to talk about on Friday. I
Or
mean,
you want to expand on that, Mr. Morrison? Go ahead.
and
well,
take a few
I
Where
just
you
wanted to say
where you sit?
that accidents happen and people do make mistakes, and that has happened even in the United States, where people get on board. There's usually a quick judiciary process to deal with it. If someone and you charge them a fine, but you don't have a police officer be the
discussion.
escape on it. I think one of the concerns they have is that he was meeting with some top minister or some big group, and they made some calls, and that's why he was released in the manner. But while I understand the fact that as a small country like Belize, we cannot just, our laws are, there's a purpose for our laws. It is my understanding that laws are intended to prevent certain things, and we have to be mindful of how we apply it, but it needs to be applied in a way that seems fairness. And so,
Amen.
for just making that police officer fall on the sword of it and taking the blame and acting as the juror and the judge was not right. If they wanted, they should have brought a judge over, hear what's happening, and a judge makes a fine and put him back on his plane if that was. But we haven't learned how to handle big issues properly,
At
and we
least that's
need
what
to
the
have
judiciary affairs, At
and
least we
and
have given
so
the affairs to the judiciary if we had done it like that. Good
yeah.
recommendation. It's
Yeah,
a
yeah. He could have been accommodated in a legal way. That's why I said they could have flown a judge out to the airport and make a set up court and deal with it and get that man back on his plane. We
and we
need
just
to do
we
things.
just read we just read that in the first part of the program, section 16 of the Constitution, and section 6 and section 2, where we were discussing about equal protection under the law and non-discriminatory actions on the part of any government officials. You
Yeah,
know,
but my point is we don't want to block and destroy our economic and investment opportunity by being blind-headed, because we know the law has a purpose. The law is to of ammunition and arresting people, and them is to stop people from having guns that they'll go out and commit
yes, but
crime,
they are
random
just
crime.
toying with our local Belizeans
Mi-
and send them to jail, families and everybody else in a house or in a vehicle or
Well,
whatever.
that's,
You know,
I mean,
they, they,
there
that
there
law
is a
needs to be
point to that,
revised.
Mr.
That law needs
There's
to
a
be revised.
there's a point to that, because I agree that if there's a weapon in a home, multiple people could be arrested and taken for it. But I don't think it makes any sense to take a 65-year-old grandmother to jail because her grandson had brought a gun,
Lack
or
of
her son, or
distinction.
whoever, or his
Sad.
niece or his brother.
Lack of
That
distinction.
that is where that
Lack
is
of
that, that
distinction.
is part of the discretion I'm talking about, of how our laws could act, right? The first in the charging, first in setting up a court even to address that issue for the grandmother if the police doesn't have the discretion to say you cannot. Then they call an emergency court and say grandma can't go to jail. Grandma,
Yeah.
this is the situation. Her grandson had it.
mi-
One more minute there
Yeah,
for
no, I
them
don't need a whole
closing
minute.
there.
In some instances, I understand even the person accepted the fault for having the weapon in the home and unknown to the owner of the
Yeah.
residence,
And they
and
still
they
call
were
it
still
crazy.
taken in. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
these are the simpleness of where we need to have properly executed law and work it out so that it serves the interest of the
Amen.
people and not
Thank
just
you.
not.
Thank you for bringing that up, Mr. Morrison. Thank you. Thank you very much. Greg, take it away, please.
Mr. Chairman and gentlemen and people at home and abroad, that law is being used out of context by the police.
The
The
last should not
law does not say everybody has to go. The law says the closest individual to the fine is the one who should be held accountable. Likewise, in a house, if a gun is found in a room or a bullet, and there's 5 persons in that house, the one who stays in that room should be held accountable. An example is the young lady going to work and she catch the taxi and a gun was found in it. The law would block her out completely
because the human
because of her constitutional right.
Yeah.
You
why
don't ask a taxi or a cab driver, do you have a gun before you get in there? You
yeah.
don't ask your family. You don't ask a minister when you're going to see them if they have a gun. That is not your business. And you cannot stop no one from having a weapon or ammunition on their private property. You go there to visit, that is your constitutional right. I go to you, Mr.
On that
Chairman, for
on that
closing.
note, it's a pleasure, to sit in your company, guys. I hope that the public, take some kind of a benefit of our show tonight. And thanks for the discussion, gentlemen, and thanks for being a part of our 390 edition of our Belizean Affairs show. Thank you very much, Mr. Morrison. Look forward to see you again soon. Right? And
Thank you, Mr.
Leonard, good night.
Good night.
And
Good night,
thanks to
gentlemen.
our viewers and listeners.
Good
Thank
night.
you.
Thank you very much again for
Greg,
a
Good night.
nice
Good night
program.
to all.